Good evening, everyone. Toast, welcome. Hey, watercolorists, of course, Ian and Violet Storm, welcome for the first time. Thanks for joining. This is all a little bit crooked here. Hopefully, audio is good, video is good on your side. Gulchen, welcome. I have exciting things to show you today for the first time, so it's a great day to join us. Violet, if it's okay to call you Violet. Last week, I haven't been making paint. That's not true. It's not completely true. I'm already making mistakes here. No, last week I haven't been making paint as I usually would. But I've been doing and making a lot of stuff, and I'm actually very thrilled to finally be able to show you. Last Saturday I had the talk on PRI, and obviously you know, Zoom, and I had some technical difficulties, and it was a bit chaotic because there were things that I really wanted to show last Saturday that I wasn't able to because I'm way too new at what I'm doing. So now you can see and hear me even better, Ian. That's great. I don't know if it is. Anyway, yeah, so today I'm going to show you as well what I've been up to, what I've been working on, and I'm really excited to work on this, and I think it's like a different. It's not like a different step. It's a completely different step in what I'm doing. Except it isn't. Still pigments. So that's good. Still ends up still in paint making. But yeah, I'll wait just a few more minutes, maybe 2, and then I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to get a drink because I've literally been, like 2 minutes ago, I was still working on the thing. Really glad that I don't have to be mysterious. I don't have to be mysterious, but I just, you know, just want to be a little bit mysterious about it. Like 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, I was still working on it. So yeah. Going to get a drink. That's fine, a watercolorist. What I noticed a huge difference with the audience there and my audience here. Mainly, here I can. There must be people there as well who do this, but the main difference, what I notice at least in the talks, and that's the only moment you have some interaction with those people, with the audience over there. What I've noticed so far, it's mostly earth related or nature pigments with a natural origin, a direct natural origin. Sentience, welcome. And that's a huge difference from what I'm doing, since everything here is pure chemicals. Obviously I have some pure earths, but that's just a minority. So if I took pigment numbers there, or if I react in pigment numbers, it's less of a common understanding than what we have over here. So the audience is completely different. It's same still pigments, but it's different, and that's no judgment in different. But I think from what I'm going to share today here, from that point of view that I'm working on, and it might have been interesting for some people there as well, because I mean it's new for me. It's new, but the starting point for me started with my pigment collection behind me. Still should be careful with that. And a crazy obsession about the collection and pigments in general. Also, I visited the doctor last Monday for my shoulder. Had an X-ray, as well as an ultrasound, as well as another injection, because it is still an inflammation, bursitis, but I need to do they're going to do a physical therapy for it, because my muscles around my shoulders are weakening, because I really can't I can't use it as I should use it. So we should fix that, because if we're not fixing that, it'll keep coming back. So yeah, it's a little bit better. Hopefully after the weekend it's better. The injection has done, like it's thanks, a watercolorist. The injection has done its job, like, and it'll continue doing so for a few weeks. But before it stops being helpful, I need to have some strength back in my shoulders muscle. Yep, the doctor subscribed it to me as well. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I need to have some things set straight. No, it's like, if I don't do it, I need to keep getting injections for my joints to move. Yeah, that sounds like I'm getting really old. Thanks. So I'm going again. Thank you guys. Bye. No. So I think we should be kind of ready for this. Should I do a kind of a grand reveal? I can do a grand reveal here. Let's just do... Someone has a motorbike who just started. I don't know if you heard that. This is not whiskey, by the way. This is a rosé. So there is a curtain. I've closed the curtain. It would be nice if I would show you, right? Yeah. So here's the curtain, and I'm just gonna Can I open it? Can I open it? Shall I open it? Yeah, I'm going to open it. So, grand reveal. Behind the curtain is something super ugly. I'm sorry if my voice is kind of going to be. I think I can turn my microphone a bit. This is a very old kiln, and kilns are used for a lot of things. One of them is making pigments. So this is just a tabletop I just built. I don't know if you can actually hear a thing of what I'm saying. I'm going to stay here. So I built a table on the side to mix all the oxides and stuff like that. But over the last weeks, I'm really getting old. This is so tiring. And over the last weeks, I've been buying oxides. I've been looking for crucibles. All kind of things. I've been looking through and reading in books. I've been uploading things from the internet on ChatGPT to help me translate it for the things I didn't, or just too much of a threshold for me now. Just explain in simple steps, and that really helped me. That really helped me because there were some kind of abstract things with firing pigments. So let me just take a few steps back and tell you why I have this in my studio. I bought it for a little over 100 euros. It is fully working, perfectly working, by the way. I'm making a few adjustments on it, not in it. I'm not going to mess with it, but I'm just going to put some things on it to make it a little bit more modern and fitting in my studio. But it was cheap, and I was so lucky to find it because it took me about a week and a half. No, I think a week, not even a week, maybe a few days. It was a crazy rush. I was looking on artistpigments.org. Just imagine me sitting way too late at night thinking about, okay, which pigment do I still miss on my collection? Which is, like I said, kind of obsessive maybe. But no, just looking at what kind of colors I could maybe add to my line of paint, or what is out there that not a lot of other people carry, or just, things I can share over here. Then I bumped into manganese green. We all know manganese violet, obviously manganese blue as the granulating cyan. You have manganese browns, manganese blacks, the manganese yellow, even the brownish yellow. But manganese green is something I didn't know anything about. There's no pigment number, it's just manganese green. So they got me thinking, okay, now I want to have it. So Google, one supplier in India, manganese green, contacting them. The thing with India Mart website is you're applying for pigment suppliers who will contact you with the pigment you're looking for. But this was a little bit too general. This was just, I was literally on the page of manganese green, filling out the forms for a sample of manganese green to contact that one supplier who had manganese green. And then about 30 to 38 people contacted me via WhatsApp from India because they were pigment suppliers. And it went from mica to just someone who just sold ultramarine blue. No one with manganese green. There was one guy who was looking it up, and he said, "Okay, yeah, we have it. I don't even remember anymore. I think it was like 400 euros for a bag, and it was a 25 kilogram bag, and the shipping was 3 times that extra, you know, with the import and the taxes and everything. I'm not going to pay 1,000 euros for a bag of pigment that I don't even know if it's interesting, because the picture on the internet was just very bright chromium oxide. If it looks like chromium oxide, it's basically zinc green. So I didn't really know if I was interested in that. So, you know, can you send a sample? And then he came back, you know, we're not allowed to ship it to the Netherlands unless I have a permit for it, because it's on a list of chemicals that you need to have a permit for. That is also very expensive, so I'm not going to do that. So then I started looking up, okay, I know why this started, but I don't know why I thought that in that instance, like, can I make it? Because it's something completely different than what I've been working on, what I will share as well. I've been working on 2 or 3 side projects that turn into main events. So I went on Marketplace, searched for little ceramic ovens, all high voltage powers. So you know, there's no possibility here. I'm not going to do that. Then you had tabletop kilns, or like for glassware or jewelry or things like that. And I saw a model and I thought, oh no, is that used as a kiln as well? I have had a kiln that I've seen multiple times on Marketplace. I've had it like I think 2-3 years ago, and then I got rid of it because it was very old. It had a backlight, a power plug. It was like really old, and the wire braided, the braided wire, the power wire. And I had no idea what to do with it. Someone gave it to me once. I could have fired pigments with it, but okay. So continue going to look at Marketplace. And then I saw something which looked weird in the pictures because it didn't look like anything I've seen before, and it looked quite big-ish. It is big, but it can go to 1200 degrees. It has a vent on the back. And thing I did with, let me just use my other arm for it. Thing I did with the vent is I connected a flexible exhaust pipe to it here. Everything with metal, hung that on the ceiling over there, and I made a flexible kind of thing here with a 3D printed adapter with heat resistant filament, by the way, and a ventilator. Also, you know, one of the IKEA things I hung up because it has an active carbon filter in it, you know, to be secure. So this is my ventilation thing, and I've tried it with a little candle and incense. I've tried, okay, you know, where does the smoke go? And the suction works great, absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to work with cadmiums or leads or anything. So cobalts, yes, manganese, yes. Those fumes are okay, and you know everything here is fine. I bought for, you know, it's a little over 100 euros. I bought this, so I had some money left. Bought a new air filtrator, air purifier, with a sensor for gases as well, and it can filter toxic gases as well, more than anything that I had. Like this had like particle size and a little bit, but that is toxic gas, not only fumes or things like that, but just toxic gas. That can filter it as well. So that's great. So yeah, there's that. Oh, that's awesome. I can do that. I can melt things as well right now, but so yeah, it wasn't really good for my shoulder because the wall, I had to literally put a hole in the wall. I rented like a hole saw drill thing. That didn't work on the wall. It flew away like constantly. It gave sparks and it flew. I don't know why. I didn't want to drill from the inside, obviously. And I put a cardboard box over the, you know, where the hole should be on the inside to drill on the outside, and it could catch like the dust and everything. So that didn't work. I had to drill it and then just chisel it out, which was not good for my shoulder. Eventually, everything worked out great. So yeah, there's a few adjustments that I made. Let me turn on the camera. Or adjustments. I have like a sensor here, which is just a door sensor, basically. If I turn my kiln on, my air conditioning will turn off. So there's no like high voltage two things at once. And on top of the kiln, I'm currently working on making a very cooled Raspberry Pi with a camera on top of that to read the temperature here. So I don't know if you all heard that, but so basically what I want to do is make a smart kiln out of it, but just, you know, that I can read the temperature from somewhere else. So yeah. Yeah, the stuff high up, sentient, that was kind of killing me at one moment. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. That, you know, how it turned out like this right now. But yesterday I was working with the Raspberry Pi, and I'm still waiting on the camera piece to come in. But as I was kind of waiting, it's an AI camera which has a shape and object recognition, which makes it way easier to read that analog dial. Less programming. And then I thought, okay, I use ChatGPT quite a bit for, you know, the chemical side of this. What can react in which way, what kind of temperatures, what kind of combinations and stuff like that. And all in a way where I feed it material so it can really analyze the literature on it as well. And then I was just kind of, you know, okay, how far can I bring AI in my studio that is actually of use to me? So with the AI camera for a Raspberry Pi, combined to the API if it doesn't say anything to you, like ignore the next 30 seconds. Combined with the API of the NIX sensor that I have, the spectrometer, and ChatGTP, connected to the internet. In theory, but that takes me a few €100, set me a few €100 back. In theory, I could, if I would say I'm going to hang it here, like with this point of this point of view here. In theory, I could say I'm swatching something, hold it in the camera. Which color is this? And it's a camera that can analyze color in a way that usually cameras can't. And then it comes up with a list. I can also put my NIX sensor, scan it, with my app on my phone, scan it, but that's connected to, with the API to the AI. And then it'll give me the closest spectral curves that it can find in any database online. So I can analyze and maybe identify colors I don't know what they are. So I have a cupboard with pigments that have no pigment number or nothing written on it. So yeah, that's cool. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to focus on making pigments. Last week I had a first try. And my first huge disappointment in it as well. I'm going to show you here. So I had an idea for a very cool a kind of granulating yellow, a granulating pink, and a manganese green. First try. So they didn't work. Unfired, my granulating pink started like this, which was kind of promising. Kind of. Fired, it ended up like this. Heavily granulating though. I mean, look at those. All three of them. Different colors. And they're heavily granulating. So that worked. This should have been a yellow. This should have been a pink. And this should have been a green. And this is just raw oxides. Which is actually just like caput mortem. Period. So yeah, that failed terribly. So I found out, Fat Filbert, welcome. I found out that I had to not only learn about the oxides I was using and combining, because I might have combined a chromo for too many, maybe a few. It's just too enthusiastic as a noob here. Also, I needed to learn my kiln, and that part is really difficult. Yeah, thanks, a watercolorist. Yeah, that's painful. That part was a little bit difficult because before I can refire the kiln again, I needed to fully cool down before I can take things out and put new things in. So I did learn a lot in the last week, over the last weekend even. Technically everything works great. There's no dead spots in the kiln. It has a oxygen-rich environment, which is good for making pigments, at least with some of them. So yeah, this is basically what I've been doing, and next to that, diving into what kind of oxides can give me which colors. Yinmin, it literally says literally stands for yttrium, indium, and manganese oxide. it's a little bit far-fetched for me to start with something like that. But a cobalt blue, for instance, I could make that. I don't know why I didn't start with that, because that looked like the easiest one. Can I adjust that change between oxidizing and reducing in the kiln? I have ways to change it. I need to have the ventilation on at all times, so that's I can't just fully close it off, but there is like a ventilation hole which I am able to close in the door. If I close that, it only sucks in the air from the lower vent pipe, from the lower exhaust vent. I don't know. Does the kiln heat the studio? Yes, and that has been terrible, especially last week when it was, especially last Saturday when it was here, like in the Netherlands, 32 degrees Celsius, but here with all the humidity here, yeah, that's outside. You know, it's really nice if you're not doing anything, but if you're still adjusting your studio, and I had to buy a different scale as well, who could read like 5 decimals behind the comma in grams. It's very precise work. It's a little bit adjusting my workflow there. I can't just scoop things here and just go on volume. But now inside here it was at one time it was 38 degrees here inside, but that was especially it's quite a small space, and it's quite a huge kiln, so yeah, as soon as the power is off of the kiln, for some pigments I wouldn't be allowed to turn on my air conditioning, because then the inside of the kiln would cool down too quickly, and the crystal structure will break and granulation will be less if I'm after that. So yeah. Let me put this on the screen if this works. Yeah. I heard that cobalt blue is affected by how much titanium you add during the production. Not sure how true that is. I wonder whether the less titanium there is, the less milky. Well, I'm actually, let me have a look if I have my, yeah, I have my tablet over here. Let me, I'm writing everything down here, and everything in theory I'm sharing with ChatGPT purely because I can ask back, what was that pigment again, what I was thinking about with cobalt and zirconium and things like that, and then it just gives it to me. Absolutely amazing. I didn't need it like before this, like this. I've used it a few times just for fun, mostly. That needs to update. Mostly using it on my phone, so that's why. Let me have a look. So the recipe for cobalt, which I'm going to put in tomorrow, I'm going to put in a cobalt blue tomorrow. Is it that? Oh no, that's not this. a downside of looking for things, you know, asking it. Well, it's a good point, Watercolorist. You don't trust ChatGPT. I'm not approaching this as if it is all-knowing. It is I needed to feed some sources or ask, you know, or books or digital, I don't know, papers or whatever that are publicly online. I ask it to mainly or only use it as a source instead of going through, I don't know, the entire internet or things that on Reddit that people have been doing. Ian, I'm not quite sure I know what you mean with if I could have an inert atmosphere. Like I said, I'm new at this, and that is just... yeah, so if you could help me with that. So, in the meantime, I was also looking at Sentient about the absolutely right about this the non-breathable gas if I'm in an enclosed space. You're absolutely right. That's why I have multiple sensors that are actually measuring any kind of toxicity in the air as well. There's one sensor in the air filtrator that can filter out toxic gases, which is on, you know, auto function, and there's a separate one next to the kiln. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that. If I'm firing them, especially on the there's temperatures where, especially, you know, that chemical reaction or the gases release, I can also just step outside my studio or just leave the door open, especially with weather like this. I'm not following, like there's too much to follow. But to come back on what a classic cobalt like a PB28 is, it could basically be cobalt oxide and aluminum oxide. Yeah, so no titanium there. A thunderstorm. Nothing of the sorts here. Oh, tomorrow there's a lot of rain. No, yeah, that's tomorrow. A lot of rain is predicted here. I don't know if that, is coming. Actually coming here, but yeah, sentient. But that's also why I only work with oxides that and other chemicals that don't release those gases in an amount that I couldn't, like, that could hit really quickly. Obviously manganese and cobalt, you don't want to fire that without any ventilation. But the good thing, and that's a very good thing with the I don't have a separate room where I can do this. Unfortunately, that part of the kiln, so the exhaust vents, this is the ingoing air, as well as the front of the door, that's the outgoing air. When the kiln is turned on, the outgoing air, that pipe, it can go like 80 to 100 degrees. The further it goes, the cooler it is. When it reaches the top, it's I can hold it. The bottom here, that part, I've put a little bit of insulation, heat-resistant insulation tape around it because I actually wanted to put a fan on it, but apparently that wasn't necessary when I did a test with incense, just to see where the smoke went. That part is just 22 degrees when the kiln is at its hottest, which means there's no heat going down, and the cold air is actually just all cooling it down. It's constantly cooling that part down, which ensures me that there's no hot air going down that part over there, which is good. I mean, I was very glad when I found out that worked, because that was all theoretical. And I'm now working on being able to put a digital thermometer in the door of the kiln as well, to monitor if whether I can open it or not, because it's a big analog dial, and you can't open it too soon. But there's not a lot of difference between 200 degrees and 0 degrees or 20 degrees. Its minimum is 20 degrees. So there's that. Yeah, I think. Thank you, Sentient. I think it's a good setup. It's becoming a very usable one, I think. But it's a lot of learning, and it's a different way of learning than I'm used to here. Hands-on, making paint, adjusting, writing down, adjusting a little bit more, getting the feel of it, seeing it on paper. I mean, I made beautiful granulating paints out of filled pigments. Granulating. I mean, look at that granulation. The thing, what I think is most interesting, and what actually gets me really excited with firing pigments, so putting pigments in a kiln and, letting it do the magic. That sounds way easier than it is that no matter how many oxides and chemicals you throw together, when it magically, it is magical, but sometimes you just can't predict the outcome with certain combinations. It becomes a single pigment, and that's what kind of sticks in my head. The fact that I can have 8 different chemicals, for instance. One enhances the color or brightens the color up a bit. One enhances the granulation. One enhances the transparency a bit. You have colorants, so oxides that are chromophores, which can react on each other as well. No matter how many of those you end up with, if it ends up in a usable pigment, you end up with a single pigment instead of throwing 5 single pigments together and getting something that might look good, but it mixes very muddy. Now I can maybe make my own ultramarine green. Yeah, but I've looked into that as well. And not really long after I found out about manganese green. There's a lot of sulfuric gases releasing there. And so that's not a thing I'm going to start with. The easy, that sounds quite easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make Egyptian blue. Like, the first synthetic man-made, aka synthetic pigment. Obviously I'm going to make that. I'm going to try to make that. It sounds way easier than it is again. But if they could have done it, I think I can do it, right? I have a Raspberry Pi. Okay. But that's one thing I wanna try to do. But first the manganese green, and next to the manganese green, because I've bought a bunch of oxides, but not nearly enough for creating, exciting colors that really don't exist yet, or they are just too difficult. Making yin min is really difficult to do it in a way that you'll end up with the thing that I'm using. Ian, could you hit me up at on Instagram to tell me more about that? Oh no, but I think sentient, the aliens that helped the Egyptians had all the technology and more. So it's joking. Raspberry Pi is like a mini computer that you can program for. You can use it as a regular computer as well now. It's quite a powerful. It can be quite a powerful device. But yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. Manganese green on its way. Cobalt blue. Different things. I have a rare oxide set, which I already had, by the way. Neodymium, erbium, and praseodymium. I don't know how you pronounce that. Oxide, which can directly be used as a very pastel-like pigment. But they're rare earth elements, pigments, oxides that can give a certain depth or a certain kind of a mineral-like sparkle to it, apparently, to another pigment. Well, I have a Ian. I have a Raspberry Pi, a Model 3 B Plus, which I've been using, which I have used for home automation a while back. I figured I could, you know, if I have the AI camera installed in the Raspberry Pi, and it recognizes the temperature on the kiln, I've manually noted everything in the notebook here, manually written down which number on the dial equals the temperature on the big thermometer. I could connect an Arduino to the Raspberry Pi and have the Arduino run a stepper motor which controls the dial, because the dial is detachable, and I can 3D print a dial that has a thread on it that can hold a stepper motor belt, so I can fully automate a kiln from the 70s. But that's, you know, that's, I think it only, I need 30-50 euros maybe investment, a few hours of coding. But that would be amazing. But I'm not going to spend the time for it. Like literally, there's one reason I don't want to automate this. I want to the kill switch I made for the air conditioning. That's just because otherwise it will just be too much watts on one line here. But the reason I don't want to automate this, because I still don't trust it. I want to be, you know, I want to be near this thing. To when it's turned on. So yeah, that's super nerdy, but I love it, and I think it's time for the next subject, which is making pigments. I have had the idea, and that's. And it happened during something that was said here, and something that I was thinking about later. Opera Rose. A mixture of quinacridone magenta and mostly rhodamine. A very fugitive, highly saturated pink dye. I thought this actually had an entire thing that happened before that. Shall I tell it as well? I will tell it as well. Okay, so stepping... sorry about this. A few steps back. Again, I was looking at pigments. What are pigments that I don't have? That's like... most of my things start with that question. I saw Daniel Smith had Maya violets. So I was looking more into Maya blue and other Maya pigments. I've been for a while. I wanted to do a video about it, but I wanted to really understand the pigment, and I wanted to make it myself. And pigment making started there. The other part, you know, other than the lapis lazuli, frangelico blue that I make. Artistpigment.org. Let me just show you if it's possible. Let me have a look if yes. Artistpigment.org has two violets, Maya violets, in its database. This is Daniel Smith's watercolor. And then you have Maya Violet from Matisse, which is acrylic paint. Well, if we're going to just, let's have a look. Now we can, look it up here. That's Matisse paint. And then that looks like this. It doesn't have a swatch on the website, so you know, we're going to use Google for it. Their own YouTube shows shows this picture, and then wrong one. This is the Daniel Smith version. It doesn't even look alike. So that's what kind of, it bothered me. I wanted to know why this was happening. Why is there such a, there's an almost dioxazine, a bright dioxazine violet hue in acrylics, and a combination between a very pastel PV19 and Yintico, but you know, this is Maya Violet, so I'm like, yeah, PV19 wasn't around there as well. A kind of granulating-ish, structural, pinkish paint versus a bright, deep-in-your-face violet. I didn't get that, so a bit of digging, and a bit of digging more than I was doing here on that website, and I noticed that why is my alarm light on? Oh, there's a draft here. One sensor is a little bit too sensitive. There isn't a chemical formulation available for PV58. None. There is one description which counts for all the Maya pigments, or Maya Chrome pigments as the brand name of Maya Pigments Incorporated was, which shut down business in 2017. It isn't a watercolorist. The only definition for a Maya pigment is an organic dye bound to an inorganic clay. With most Maya pigments, that would be acetopogite or palygorskite. It could be zeolite, could be kaolin, it could be more clays. But the first two have a similarity, that it is tube shaped, like a hollow tube, and because it's hollow, like hollow clay particles, the dye that gets trapped in that hollow particle is therefore more stable. But that difference was just too much. So I called Matisse, the brand was Derivan. That's the brand, for their line of paint. I asked them, you know, do you still have anything left? Is there anything, you know, something I could try? Because, you know, I can get my hands on the Daniel Smith stuff, but what's your source? And they were very open to me. Their source, the original source, was the Maya Chrome pigment, the only pigment that is stated at PV58. And PV58 is Maya Chrome violets, basically, and it's the only pigment manufacturer that made that. Now, with the description of what that pigment is, I think Daniel Smith did its thing and just made a violet based on the description, based on the definition of Maya violet. So Derivan, the lab guy said to me, well, you know, we had like, we wanted more, and they were out of business. They shut down business. So everything they had, they've used. They turned into paste, and they've used for their acrylic line. So that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I don't have a time machine. Although that thing starts to look more like it when I turn the Raspberry Pi on it, especially because it has an RGB fan with a big dial and a door, and it looks kind of like it. I don't know. So, just a definition. I'm getting somewhere with this. Just a definition of Maya violet. Organic dye bound to an inorganic clay. I looked at the spectral curve. First thing I did. Spectral curve, let me see if I can get that here. Spectral curve of Maya violet. And a spectral curve of PV19. So there are similarities happening here. This is as no coincidence. It's also no coincidence that PV19, quinacridone, rose in this case, is used as a dye. It also happened that, you know, quinacridones are organic pigments. So this is an organic dye. I hope everyone got that like moment right now, right? This might have been just, you know, how they got their made, not directly this one, because this is definitely not the right PV19 for it. But maybe they have a different version they're not using for anything else. So I looked up anything that looked like that spectral curve, basically. So let me quickly connect some things here. I found a PV19 that looked quite like it. And I was kind of pleased because I thought, you know, I just need to bind this to Palygorskite or whatever clay I can use for it. And I've made Maya violet according to the definition of Maya violet. This, knowing that I've never made a Maya pigment before, and this was all just theoretical in my head. I'm not. No. PV19 is a pigment. It's a chemical pigment, which can also be used as a dye. There's phthalos that are used as dyes to dye things with. PV23 dioxazine violet is also used as a dye. Some pigments are used as a dye because they're more kind of soluble in other chemicals. PV42 also an option. But my point was, I found something that let me have a quick look. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not like, this is not high enough. This is not chromatic enough here. But yeah, I found something that was very similar to this. So I let me have a look to the. This is a completely different scale as well. It also has more blues. This is just quinacridone magenta. I might be, maybe I can do the quinacridone rose. I have that as well. Let's see the violets. So yeah, that's more like it. Similar, right? Very similar. Then I used this dye and used this pigment. My apologies. And I added it to Peligorskite. What the hell happened? That clay did something. Like everything from 600 onwards is fine. It's not as saturated as it wanted to. But where did the bumps, I mean, it's bumpy. It's not a smooth curve, but it's bumpy. And all the blues, where did those come from? So yeah, bumped into this. I thought, I'm not going to put too much attention into this because this is just a weird curve. This is I don't want weird curves. I just want something that. But theoretically, it's still possible. Then talking about, with you guys, with all the over the last 3-4 weeks. This is all happening between now and 3 weeks ago, I think. What does the clay look like on its own? Whoa, let me have a look. As a spectral curve, I don't know. That's what was my next step. But then I've written everything down, all the things that I want to do. It's like it's buff titanium-ish. I got a jar of dirt. Like, it's basically, yeah, that. So then I thought, okay, capsulating. I mean, this is this was the Maya pigment. Also, it got kind of gluey because of the clay. But, color-wise, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. If encapsulating makes something, quinacridone as a dye isn't fugitive. It's a very light, fast pigment. But if a dye like indigo or any kind of yellow wood could be made more light, fast, or thank you, Ian, that you got the reference. By encapsulating it into the clay, then could we also do that with rhodamine? Coming back to opera pink. Rhodamine is a very fugitive dye. Fluorescent, very bright, very fugitive, very fine. So, I dug into some new things. One, well, I kind of made Maya violet. I think this is a bad camera for it, but I kind of made Maya violet, but the texture wasn't right, and then I paused this because my the internals of my head kept spinning. So encapsulating rhodamine. I can't heat it too much. I mean, quinacridone could be baked into the oven, creating a stronger structure with the clay. It binds better. I have a vacuum machine for epoxy, and there are tubes. This is just a paper towel, but this is basically the structure of the clay. Imagine having a very fugitive dye around this and putting this in a vacuum machine. Making that dye being fully absorbed into that attapulgite or palygorskite. Hi, Paolo. I just showed everyone my kiln. That could be a possibility, right? I mean, having a emulsion of clay, water, changing the pH a little bit with a drop of ammonia, because that helps apparently. That's what I found online. So just trying a drop of that. Putting it in a glass jar, putting that in a vacuum machine. And I literally saw like the air bubbles popping out. So there's a lot of air in this in the putty like emulsion that I had. I let that fully air dry, and that was last week. And I wanted to put it in the sun, but I couldn't because the rhodamine is very UV sensitive, and I didn't want to break it down before I made it more stable. At least that's the experiment. So I let it air dry in my studio. When it was dry, ground it up to a fine powder, sieved it, ground it up again. Then this happened all like over the last days. I encapsulated it with a layer of silica, and before, it's really easy. But before I started this, it would, if someone would say to me that I encapsulated every pigment particle with a tiny layer of glass to make it more UV and environmental resistance, I wouldn't have believed you. Apparently there's something like, it's named water glass, which really sounds easy. It's not easy. It has reacted really terribly until I got it right. But I had a water glass with water and alcohol mix. Initially it needed a little bit of borax to make it stronger. Borax fritz, very fine, to make it stronger, but that made it solidify as soon as I put it in there. So that didn't work. So I wasn't able to make the strongest version of that glass layer, but I was able to make it, and I've mixed that with the ground up very fine rhodamine Maya pigment that I made for an hour, fully let it air dry again, and I have a very pink pigment, a very fine, very pink pigment. So I'm actually quite pleased with this. I can show you what rhodamine looks like. This is pure rhodamine. I don't think my camera can handle this. This is my rhodamine Maya glass and pigment. The difference mostly with this, it's not, this is obviously way more saturated, but this acted like a dye. It just suck into the paper, and this is basically like ink. This acted like a pigment. As you can see, it has a, I don't know if you can see it. It has a texture, it has a structure through it. It has a, why isn't this camera working? That is definitely not working. Okay, need to fix that. We can do it like this as well. This is a pigment with a structure in it. All right. It is a little bit more dull, but I think I've overloaded my brush with the dye more than I had with pigment as well. Here, and now is the interest. Thank you, and this is why I love this audience. Ian, thank you very much. Okay, so to answer a watercolors, because I've seen the question before, what is the pigment name of manganese green? It is manganese green. That's it. That's it. And then I'm coming back at here. Look at this. This is why I'm interested in it. Manganese green. It is gray because no one has it. And it's deadly. But it's gray. Manganese green. There it is. Pigment information. Well, barium manganese oxide. So yeah. That's all we can go with. It says the elements with it. Oh wow, this is a great addition. And this is fun as well, by the way. You can just, I don't know, I know I'm not working with this right now. And let's click away oxygen as well. But you can literally, on this website, you can just say, okay, I want to have a cobalt pigment. Let's click on cobalt and just see all the cobalt pigments here. Or I want to see something that has tin in it. And then we have tin pigments. I've been doing this a lot lately. So, rhodamine Maya, but encapsulated in a glass layer around each pigment particle. The thing that I liked, thank you. I don't know if it's barium manganate, by the way. That's manganese blue. Yeah, I've spoken to Tomas about this, Gulchen. I'm go as soon as I have it, as soon as I fired it, because my last version looked like that, but as soon as I have it, I'm sending him some. Let me get back up a little bit. Yes, no, here, yes. Ian, maybe get a UV light source to test the light fastness. I have made, I needed to have my cooler here. I've made a very focused UV test based on the amount of light that comes out of it, and it's 365 nanometers. 2 hours of this equals about 48 hours of full sunlight. So, yeah, I'm doing that as well. And I've done that. I've had 3 hours, 4 hours. 4 hours. I've done that. I've exposed them both for 4 hours. So I haven't put these next to each other here. So I don't know if there's a lot of difference, but I will definitely grab this as well. I'll have this underneath something. Oh, I see a little bit of difference there, and I see definitely a great amount of difference here. Let me know if you can. Oh, you can see it on camera as well. This got way more orange. Let me just put a. So there we go. This got way more orangey, and this got a little less saturated, but not much of a difference. Not as much as this when it comes to color. So yeah, but I will do. I will make the test a little bit longer. Because I want to have at least a week of exposure, UV exposure. But you know, it's like the nerd in me fully came out this week. Apart from working with the Raspberry Pi, I created little brackets for this to have an exact 45 degree angle. I also made a little bracket for my lights to have to shine in the exact middle of that. Yeah, it's yeah. But looking at how effective this is, I needed to cool it because my UV light got quite hot. But how effective that worked, such a small setup. I can do this for most pigments. But I will definitely use this for the pigments that I make myself. Yeah, eventually I'm going to compare the swatches with the NYX. Obviously, we want to know what the difference are, not just only see, but no. But this is this pigment. I'm keeping it like this for now, because if it still fades quite a lot after a simulation of a week worth of full sunlight. It's so I want to have like 7 24-hour days of full sunlight. The NYX goes to 380 or 400. I think it's 400 nanometers. So it's just not there. But I can send it to Tomas of artistpigments.org. He has a spectrometer that goes a little bit further, a little bit above the 700 and a little bit underneath the 400. Let me have a look. I think he already uses it somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm opening the website right now. Here you can already see it 380 to 720. And that is the X-Rite iPro 3 730. He said that was easier, like in big batches of swatches. So I understand that for him. Thank you, Sentient. It means a lot. It was I've been very isolated last week just because I was fully into all this new stuff and getting things to work. It's near UV. Yeah, the light I'm using is 365. So that, you know, I have another one that's 395. That doesn't even come close. But the 365 simulates sunlight the best, you know, with what we have as a light source here, at least for a mortal like me or small business. Have a great rest of the day, Sentient. Thanks for joining. So I think I've kind of summed up everything I've been doing. I think. Mostly failures. But I'm not mad. It's like the Maya pigment. I might have figured it out. So there, it needs a few steps to get to the right consistency of the pigment itself, because that's a very important part. Other than color, I have I have two of the Maya pigments, by the way. I had a darker version and a light version over here. Just a small bottle of the darker version. So I can take this and just continue with that. If the rhodamine pigment is just, you know, with that weak, what I'm aiming at is losing too much of its color, I'm going to coat this again. Not all of it. I want to have some for comparison. I could coat it with a second layer of silica to see if it dulls it down more, or if it dulls it down, or if it protects it more, or maybe a little bit of both. Dulls it down a little bit, but protects it more. So there's a lot of options. I can do 2, 3, 4 layers of it. Shouldn't do more than 3, or it'll get crunchy and I'll break the coatings with the muller. Yeah, violet, absolutely. It's but this is. It's been a long time since I've had like the learning curve like this. The last time I think I wanted to learn how to use a certain piece of software, and I quit with that because that was just a like mainly interest. That wasn't work focused. Not you know, nothing related to work. So all the time I put in that was leading to nowhere, but just purely an interest in something. This is like this has a goal. First goal, I need to make a manganese green. I might have it Friday morning. Tomorrow I'm going to fire up my kiln and yeah. Hopefully I'm not burning things anymore. I don't have enough crucibles. I found out that. So I made a few tests. A few different versions of manganese green. Mark, welcome. I'm not going to stick around for too long as well because I'm really tired, but I've shown everyone my kiln and the rhodamine pigment. I've been talking with Mark a little bit about this already. But yeah, tomorrow I'll fire it up. Tomorrow morning, early in the morning, so I don't want to go to bed too late. It needs to rise slowly, reaching 1050 degrees. Sticking there, soaking it for 45 minutes. And then slowly cooling down again. Getting one more sip. But yeah, things have been quite interesting here, and I'm quite excited about everything, basically. But there's a lot of things I didn't really think about. The ventilation, like for one, getting a flexible exhaust pipe that doesn't let out fumes was a little bit harder than I thought. I've had it like within 2 days after I looked for it, but still, it's not something I'm used to looking for. Heat shield for like this is the Raspberry Pi I'm currently building with a high cooling tower on top of it, because it's going to be on top of the kiln, so it needs to cool more than what it usually would need. Then I'm going to print something, a 3D bracket, so it can be put on top of the thermometer. I've already printed an arm for the camera, so it can see the thermometer on the kiln. And then this needs a USB wire, preferably an Ethernet cable as well, but I'm not going to do that. But that USB wire needs to be put like on the outside of the kiln, either on the back or the front, but it can't go through my ceiling. So I had to buy an insulation tube which can hold 600 degrees, hold back 600 degrees Celsius, just for a USB cable. Luckily I found one that was quite cheap, so I hope this works. It had good reviews, but I hope it works. And you know, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to fire up the UV light again. Yeah, today I've had it like in the charger while it was shining, and the cooling fan helped a lot, but I don't know, this is just still it should be safe. It's literally, it's on a marble slab. There's nothing much that can catch fire there, but this is just I'm very, very cautious about that kind of stuff. I don't wanna turn that on overnight to, you know. I don't want to risk that. I don't know what can happen, but I don't want to risk it. So going to do that tomorrow as well, because I'm near my kiln anyway. Any other stuff? Yeah, I bought a plant. That might be the least exciting thing. I saw that I was at the IKEA for, I don't know what, smart plug. And then I read that the Sansevieria, it does well in low light. Well, that's ideal here. I have blinds here, so I can open them, but it does well in low light, and it cleans the air of toxins, toxicity. Just going to take a sip. Are you going to expose both the dye and the pigment? Well, I am. I have been doing so. So yeah. and 2 different outcomes. Thank you very much. Toxins. I think I meant toxins. No, I think I meant toxic gases. No, I think I meant toxins, by the way, because it's not only gases. So yeah, there's that. Oh, and it worked really well. And I've had this idea for a while. I'm just going to grab the jar that holds it. I have like glass beads here. I wanted to use ceramic ones, but I wanted to be able to fully clean them as well. I put them. I put a small handful of these glass beads in a jar like this. Put some rubber bands around it, and put them on a rock tumbler to grind the pigments before I put them in the kiln. So that's, they're in the kiln right now, and I'll fire it up tomorrow. But they are so much finer than I was able to do with my muller, even the big muller. So yeah, that's new for me. That's exciting. It's like on a super small, almost pathetic like scale, almost cute, maybe. I don't know if it balances between cute and clumsy. I don't know, somewhere between that. But it works. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm just trying to work with as much as I have already. Like I had the UV light. I just had a box that came in that day with a pigment sample. Put some aluminum foil in it, and And while I was at it, I added the. I also very quickly threw together a shield for the for this ventilators that no fingers can go in. At least not my fingers can go in. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, so yeah. Well, Mark, I just showed everyone the comparison. So I'm going to ask you to scroll back a little bit. I'm not going. It is happening rapidly, yeah, and maybe just rapidly turning mad might be, and doing some chemistry. But it's. I think it's promising. I'm very enthusiastic about it, and I think it's really promising. It looks and feels really promising. But I'm not sure. Thank you, Paolo. Yeah, apart from the fact that the pigments that I have fired all failed, but there was one test that I did, and that actually worked really well. I made a slurry. I made a paste of iron oxide and water, just PR101, a very pure iron oxide. I poured that into a silicone mold, let that harden, and that literally happened within 15 minutes. I was amazed. In 15 minutes in the sun. Let me have a look where I have them. Yeah, I'm over here. This was a fun experiment because there was one thing I wanted to find out. My pigments have they burned. Let me put them in the right direction. They burned, and I fired these all at once. So what this is, I added a flux, something to help the reaction of making a pigment with some chemicals to this, and I didn't add it to this. This is just fired iron. This is nothing more than PR101 and water poured into a mold, let it dry in the sun, and baked in the oven. It's a little bit brittle. I wanted to try like how much of it. Let me. This can basically be turned into. This is a brighter red than it was. Which makes sense because if you heat up iron oxide in an oxygen-rich environment, it'll turn to a bright red. But this was weird because this was, well, it was spaced like this. That's about how big the kiln is in the inside. To see if the front and back have different temperatures, because the air vent is that way and the air inlet is this way. Maybe there was a temperature difference, and if there was any reaction, any other reaction happening. And the borax fritz that I added to it, it gave it like an almost ceramic, almost, this is just like a ceramic glazed look to it. This is, it's heavy, it's way heavier. It has my, nice detail, it has my muller and the palette knife stamp in it. But that ceramic glaze look, so this happens, this is only 2% of borax which I added to it, which is suggested when you just go look online, making pigments and things. You see this very often. This doesn't work. I don't think I can easily crush this into something I can make into a paint. So this was a very fun experiment. I saw that it is oxygen rich and there's no temperature differences. There's no big temperature differences between the front of the kiln and the back of the kiln. So that's good. It is a nice color, but it's ceramic tile, and it's just pure iron oxide and a little bit of borax. It's just 2%, which was completely weird to me that this happened. Such a big color difference, as well as size and weight. It was just like, okay, this a lot happened in the same area there. But yeah, this made me take out the borax out of some recipes, but that was good. I mean, I know what to do now. So hopefully tomorrow I have one cobalt. It's not a regular cobalt blue, by the way. It's an experiment of mine. And it's all theoretical as well. But I have two versions of manganese green. One should be a little bit on the brighter side, heavily granulating on the brighter side. I know what you can consider brighter. And one is more like an olive, mossy, more earth tone, slightly more opaque version. In theory. So as soon as I know earliest I think I can probably let you know next Wednesday. Looking at the plans in the weekend, it's going to be a hot weekend as well, so probably going out with the kids, swimming or something like that, just, you know, looking to find a cool place to hide. I could just not turn on the kiln and turn on my air conditioning here and just hide in here. Might do that. So yeah, there's a lot of things I'm going to do. The UV test for the rhodamine Maya. And hopefully Friday morning I can let you know. I can make a short as well on YouTube. Just turn on my notifications to be the first one to know. Subscribe and like. I probably can make a short that shows you whether it worked or not. I don't dare to do that live. I'm really afraid it fails again. It's only like my it's my second attempt. So I'm not expecting it to work, but I've learned a lot in just firing it twice. One with pigments and one with these. I fired it once without pigments, and that was just a really quick fire up. There's a lot of air conditioning in the Netherlands, yeah. I mean, we're not famous for them. We're not like the US that every toilet, like party potty, has an air conditioning. No offense to the people in the US, but sorry, I don't know where that came from. Yeah. I have a flat roof. This used to be a garage where I'm sitting at. It's just this outside. This is not attached to the house. Oh, I won't make anything explosive, but I kind of sure that I won't make anything explode. I mean, it's a very old kiln. But yeah. So the third time, what I was saying, the third time I fired it was literally just sitting in front of it, and that was a hot experience. Because it has an analog dial that goes from 2 to 12, and it has a thermometer on the top which goes from kind of 200, lowest is 20, but like the first setting is almost at 200 to 1200. So I thought, 2 to 12, 200 to 1200, I see some similarities there. That was my first mistake. Thank you for that, Mark. In Hawaii, you have all the reasons to have one. I hope you have toilet seat cooling as well. Apparently, also I've written that down. I was like with my little booklet. I was like in front of that kiln. Setting 2, it doesn't react. It does nothing, but maybe that's the outside temperature making the inside temperature already hot enough to let setting 2 do nothing. Setting 2.5, I'm doing it with halves, and it even has like 4 lines in between that, so I can do it very precisely. Setting 2.5, 100 degrees, 3, 200 degrees. I'm going to in steps in half, okay? I'm not going to constantly say what step I'm at. It goes from 200 to 400 to 500, 580, 600, 700. So 580 to 600 and 600 to 700 is a bit weird, but okay, it might need adjustment. This was my first time writing it down and, trying it. Then 750, 800, 850, 875, 920, 940, 950, 980, 1020. And that was setting 10 because that was also how hot these needed to go. That was only just 1050 degrees. Around about between 1000 and 1050. So setting 10 was 1020 when it turned off the heating. 10.5 to 11.5, 12-ish. I didn't do that yet. But I guess it's going to be hotter. Educated guess. So the settings didn't make any sense. The dial wasn't like in sync with the thermometer, with the temperature settings, which is very valuable information for me for tomorrow. Maybe if it's like way too hot and my brain is melting, I'll go live but the kiln, I can quickly let you hear the sound of the kiln. Let me, I can just turn it on for you. So what I'm really proud of right now, let me see if I can. So my air conditioning there, I have a low one because that was the most convenient. There it is turned on right now. And just for safety measures, I'm just going to put it on a lower setting here. But pay attention to when I'm doing this. Just making sure it's on this lowest setting now. If I'm turning it here, that is turned off. So that is one thing that works. This, if this is going to be heated, it's going to make this noise. Let me just turn it on. And my air conditioning turns on again. So yeah, the heating part, the noise is terrible. There's a big fan in the back, but you know, yeah. Wait, Mark, you have a toilet air conditioning. I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't have time to tune it in that way. Good ear, I think. I trust you on this. I fully trust you on this. Guys, I think I'm going. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up earlier than usual. Two things to do: UV test continuation, and I'm going to fire up the kiln. And hopefully 24 hours later, I'm going to open the kiln safely. And I have beautiful manganese greens, hopefully. That's great to hear, Mark. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, yeah, Paolo, thank you. Hopefully I do have interesting things to show as well. Rick, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going, but I want to thank everyone. If you have missed it, I've just shown my kiln and pigments I'm working on, including a hopefully light fast-ish, no, more stable. I'm not going to say light fast, but more stable rhodamine Maya pigment. Coated in glass. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and make sure to turn on your notifications if you want to be the first one to know when I put up a new video or a live stream. But YouTube doesn't work like that anymore, so you might not be the first, but you will be a little bit sooner than just opening YouTube. Yeah, I just should stick to the basic stuff. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.